right. All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my YouTube family. Good afternoon, Clubhouse. Good afternoon. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It is 5 o'clock here on the East Coast. It is Keeping Up with Congress, y'all. Keeping Up with Congress, where I come to you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 5:30 right here on YouTube, but I also come to you from 5:30 until 6 p.m. over in the Clubhouse space. So if you are joining me right here on YouTube, hit that like button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification, and share, share, share. You know, I always like to bring you at the top of the hour some reparations information, but I'm gonna tell you, y'all, reparations has been silent in the media. It has been quite silent in the media. I follow ads that are specific to reparations, y'all, in the past few days. Nothing, y'all. That means we're not making enough noise. We're not making enough noise, y'all. I know that, it's this time between the summer and the fall where the kids are going back to school. People are just really trying to get their bearings in this COVID season. I get it. And my heart goes out to those of you that are parents and trying to navigate education with COVID. It is, oh my God, it is, I can't even imagine. My youngest actually graduated in 2020. So they were that generation of young people that didn't get a graduation, but I'm sure they'll come back together at some point later and do something. But yeah, my heart goes out to you guys that have children and you're trying to navigate this space with COVID. But before we dive in, I like to always ask, I always got to pass the collection plate. I ask that you go to the website. It's Tamara, TAMARA 4FOR, Georgia spelled out.com. Please go to the website, make a donation. We will not, and I repeat, we will not get reparations without negotiations. It won't happen. We got to have somebody in Congress that's bold enough to do this. And reparations is a bold agenda when you have politicians that don't want to talk about Black issues. They don't want to address Black issues. They don't want to be on the wrong side of this, quote unquote. They don't want to do this and then take the backlash and the heat. But if we look at what's happening in Congress, everybody's issues are being addressed, and Black America is constantly being left behind. So we have to be intentional about our issues, and it's okay. And that's the part I think I want. I hope that from my candidacy, other politicians will see that it really is okay to talk Black. It really is okay to have an agenda specific to Black people. It really is. And you can do it. So I think me having a campaign where we are speaking boldly about the needs of Black America, specifically reparations, is uniquely different. And I think we're going to have more support than we know. So let's dive in. I'm bringing you House bills, and U.S. Senate bills. And since there was no reparations information, I'm going to dive in because yesterday we had the young prodigies, the teacher and her husband who started the nonprofit for the young prodigies. That was Antonio, and his last name is totally escaping me. But he joined us yesterday, and I did a different kind of broadcast. I didn't bring any bills. But today we got to catch up. And we really need to catch up with these Senate bills. So I am going to start with the House bills. Let's dive in. Now y'all are going to find this one quite interesting. HR 1031. HR 1031. This is the White Supremacy and Law Enforcement Information Act of 2021. White Supremacy and Law Enforcement Information Act of 2021. This is Representative Torres, Norma Torres. Norma is a Democrat out of California. And let me tell you why I found this bill to be so very interesting. It says this bill requires the Department of Justice, in coordination with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, to prepare and release an intelligence assessment describing the relationship between white supremacy and law enforcement. It says the assessment must include information on white supremacist links to and infiltration of law enforcement agencies. Let me make my screen bigger for those of you that are watching. There you go. It says this bill requires the Department of Justice, in coordination with the FBI, to release 1, past intelligence assessments related to white supremacist links to and infiltration of law enforcement agencies, and 2, actions to address such links and infiltration. So this particular piece of legislation is interesting because this is introduced by Norma Torres. And I'm like, well, who is this woman that's introducing this legislation? Norma seems to be a Latina woman, right? I'm like, interesting, from California, interesting. And I wanted to know, well, is she, white supremacy? Is she a part of the Black Caucus? Maybe that would be part of her driving force. And I skimmed through the membership. And those of us who are reparationists, we follow the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus. So I skimmed through, and if you're watching and you can skim through with me, Torres is not here. We have all these CBC members. However, Torres is not here. So I just found it quite interesting that we have a Latina woman in Congress who was bold enough, y'all, I'm applauding her, to address white supremacy in law enforcement and looking for some answers and solutions. To Representative Torres, Norma Torres, Democrat out of California. Senate Bill 1032, not Senate, House Bill, y'all. House Bill 1032 is the Telecommunications Skilled Workforce Act. Telecommunications Skilled Workforce Act. This is Representative Tim Walberg, Republican out of Michigan. It says this bill establishes measures to address the workforce needs of the telecommunication industry. It says specifically the bill requires the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, to establish an interagency working group to develop recommendations for addressing these workforce needs. It says the FCC must also establish and issue guidance on how states can meet the workforce needs of the telecommunication industry, including guidance on how a state workforce development board can, 1, utilize federal resources available to meet telecommunication industry workforce needs, and 2, promote and improve recruitment and qualified industry-led workforce development programs, including the telecommunication industry registered apprenticeship program. So this is specific to telecommunications, the skilled workforce. Representative Walberg, Tim Walberg, Republican out of Michigan. HR1033, HR1033 is the Renewable Energy Certainty Act. Renewable Energy Certainty Act. This is Representative Peter Welch, Democrat, Vermont. It says this bill authorizes long-term contracts for federal purchases of renewable energy and establishes related requirements. It says specifically the bill authorizes federal agencies to enter into contracts for the acquisition of energy generated from renewable energy sources or from cogeneration facilities for a period of up to 30 years. And this seemed a little like 30 years, y'all. 30 years. So I had to dive into this because I don't know how, 30 years is a long time for us for a contract. These long term, it's like once you locked in, it's like that just seems to be too long. It says this legislation will permit federal agencies to enter into longer term contracts with renewable energy providers. It's just questionable that a longer term contract is necessary. It says under current regulations, most federal agencies cannot procure renewable energy contracts with terms longer than 10 years. It says because renewable energy is a rapidly developing industry with thin margins and significant R&D investments, is 10 years often may not afford many renewable energy providers with enough financial certainty to continue innovating while still providing the federal government with the best possible financial terms for its contract. So, but 30 years just seems to be a long time. Representative Ralph Norman, and this is Peter Welch. Peter Welch, HR 1033. HR 1034, HR 1034 is the Domestic Violence Public Health Emergency Guidance Act, Domestic Violence Public Health Emergency Guidance Act. Representative Wexton, Jennifer Wexton, she's a Democrat out of Virginia. It says this bill requires the Department of Justice to issue guidance to law enforcement agencies on model practices for addressing domestic violence and protecting the safety of law enforcement officers during the COVID-19 public health emergency. Now, I didn't really understand why they needed additional money specific to domestic violence during COVID. Like I'm not making the correlation. I'm sure they needed PPEs, personal protective equipment, but I don't know where they need anything more than that. I didn't get the correlation, y'all. I didn't go any further, but this is Representative Wexton, Jennifer Wexton, Democrat out of Virginia. HR 1035, HR 1035 is the Fairness for Craft Beverage Producers Act. Now, I thought this one was interesting too, because I'm like, it just shows you where the money is. They got to have some serious lobbyists, right? HR 1035, Fairness for Craft Beverage Producers Act. This is Representative Wexton, Jennifer Wexton again, Democrat out of Virginia. It says this bill provides additional economic relief to certain beverage manufacturers in response to COVID-19. So this is additional, y'all, economic relief. They need the craft beverage producers need additional economic relief. Now, I'm telling you, it was two things people probably were doing during COVID. I think we all know they was drinking and they were probably having sex. So those two things that were probably happening during COVID. So I don't understand why they need additional economic relief. But the bill goes on to say, specifically, the bill gives certain beverage manufacturers, breweries, and wineries that derive at least 35% of their gross annual income during either 2019 or 2020 from in-person sales. It gives them access to a second draw. Y'all, they're going to get a second draw of loans under the Paycheck Protection Program. So that's the PPP money. They want some additional, they want a second draw. Specifically, they do. It says further, it makes these beverage manufacturers eligible to receive additional months of subsidized principal and interest payments on certain Small Business Administration loans. And they're going to pay their loans. Whoever this lobbyist is pretty damn serious, because they got something written that is introduced. It was written, but you know, I don't see where they need it more than anybody else. This is the breweries, y'all, the craft beverage producers, specifically the breweries and wineries. People was drinking during COVID, and I'm sure they made a lot of money. All right, y'all, we're going to dive into these Senate bills, but I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. Again, I ask that you go to the website, make a donation, be a part of the campaign. I have some fun fundraisers, y'all. Take advantage of it. Let's enjoy this journey. We're getting ready to ramp up, and we're going to be full speed ahead in January. Right now, we are in preparation. We are preparing to run hard and run strong for 5 months from January until May. We got to win this primary, y'all. We got to win. So go to the website, tamaraforgeorgia.com. So let's dive into the Senate bills. And we have about 13 more minutes, and I'm going to come over to the clubhouse space. The HAPPY Act, S581 is the HAPPY Act. This is Senator Brown, Sherrod Brown, Democrat out of Ohio. It says this bill requires state Medicaid programs to cover without cost sharing vaccines for adults that are recommended by the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. So I looked this one up because I'm like, okay, the vaccines are free. So what could he really be talking about when these vaccines are free, right? Y'all, here it goes. It says, U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat of Ohio, introduced legislation to ensure more Americans can receive all necessary vaccines at no out-of-pocket cost. It says Brown's Helping Adults Protect Immunity Act, which is the HAPPY Act, would create parity in vaccine coverage between traditional Medicaid and Medicaid expansion programs. It says the bill also provide enhanced federal matching funds for states to better reach at-risk, vulnerable patient populations. So here's his words. He says, when some Americans aren't able to get the vaccines they need, it doesn't just hurt them, it hurts the whole community. It says the Biden administration's COVID-19 vaccine rollout has been working far ahead of schedule, but we still need legislation like the HAPPY Act to ensure, here it goes, y'all, that at-risk populations can get all other vaccines quickly and easily with no out-of-pocket cost. So he's making it that all vaccines, he wants to see all vaccines be free. So I'm like, okay. Senate Bill 581, Senator Brown, Sherrod Brown. Senate Bill 582, Senate Bill 582 is the Federal Death Penalty Prohibition Act. This is Senator Durbin, Richard Durbin, Democrat out of Illinois. It says this bill prohibits the imposition of a death penalty sentence for a violation of federal law. It says a person sentenced to death before enactment of this bill must be resentenced. So this is the prohibition of the death penalty. Senator Durbin, Richard Durbin. Senate Bill 583. Senate Bill 583 is the Price Act. The Price Act of 2021. This is Senator Peters, Gary Peters. He is a Democrat out of Michigan. And I had to look this one up. It just seems a little complicated, but I was like, okay, let me find his words. It says, the Promoting Rigorous and Innovative Cost Efficiencies for Federal Procurement and Acquisitions Act, which is the Price Act, seeks to resolve this issue by requiring the Office of Management and Budget to work with federal acquisition administrators to share innovative best practices that will modernize contracting procedures, realize cost savings for taxpayers, and ensure small businesses have a seat at the table in federal contracting. Now, why is my phone ringing? It never fails, y'all. It just never fails in the middle of the broadcast. Says many small business owners face obstacles when trying to take advantage of federal contracting opportunities because they are often left behind in the selection process. This is Senator Peters. He says this legislation will ensure that those small business owners in Michigan and across the nation who are often forgotten are given a fair opportunity to win federal contracts and continue to grow their small businesses. So this is Senate Bill 583, the Price Act. Senate Bill 584 is the Nutrition Care Act of 2021, Nutrition Care Act of 2021. Senator Margaret Wood Hassan, Democrat out of New Hampshire. It says this bill, this is the Nutrition Counseling Aid Recovery for Eating Disorders. That's what this Nutrition Care Act stands for. It says this bill provides for Medicare coverage of medical nutrition therapy services for individuals with eating disorders. It says such services must be furnished by a registered dietitian or nutrition professional pursuant to a referral from a physician, psychologist, or other authorized mental health professional. So this is Senator Margaret Hassan, the Nutrition Care Act of 2021, addressing eating disorders. Senate Bill 585, Senate Bill 585, have about 8 more minutes, and I'm coming over to the clubhouse space. The United States Anti-Doping Agency Reauthorization Act of 2021. The United States Anti-Doping Agency Reauthorization Act of 2021. This is Senator Moran, Jerry Moran. He's a Republican out of Kansas. It says this bill, okay, wait a minute. I want to tell you this. Senator Moran, Jerry Moran, and Richard Blumenthal. These are the sponsors of this bill. Members of the Commerce Subcommittee with jurisdiction over the health and safety of amateur athletes. So this subcommittee has jurisdiction over the health and safety of amateur athletes. It says introduced legislation to reauthorize the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency in preparation for the 2028 Summer Olympics. But here's the kicker, y'all, what I want you to hear. It says in 2001, Congress recognized the USADA, which is the United States Anti-Doping Agency, as the official anti-doping agency. So they created this agency. Y'all see where I'm going? They created an agency for anti-doping. It says for the Olympics, the Paralympics, the Pan American and Para-Pan Games to help combat the use of performance-enhancing drugs and create a fair and level playing field for our athletes. So this U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, y'all, you know where I'm going because you know it's all about creating our agency. So the USDA is a nonprofit organization. So this agency is a nonprofit organization that is partially funded through the Office of National Drug Control Policy. So I kept getting lost in this legislation because this agency is a nonprofit organization that is partially funded through the Office of National Drug Control Policy. So yeah, it made me just kind of stay there because I'm like, okay, if we can do this for the anti-doping for amateur athletes, surely we could do this for those of us who are descendants of chattel slavery. So I couldn't even this bill just took me there, y'all. It really just took me there. This is Senate Bill 585. Senate Bill 586. Senate Bill 586 is the No Pain Act. No Pain Act which stands for Non-Opioids Prevent Addiction in the Nation Act, or the No Pain Act. So this bill temporarily establishes separate payments for certain non-opioid treatments under the Medicare prospective payment system for hospital outpatient department services and the payment system for ambulatory surgical center services. It says this bill applies to pain management treatments that are able to replace or reduce opioid consumption as shown through clinical trials or data. So they're trying to get people to not use the opioids and come up with some alternatives. So this is the No Pain Act. This is Senator Shealey Capito. She's a Republican out of West Virginia. Senate Bill 587. Senate Bill 587 is securing the Inspector General Independence Act of 2021. Y'all, I found this one interesting too. Securing Inspector General Independence Act of 2021. So Senator Grassley, Chuck Grassley, is a Republican out of Iowa. It says this bill limits the circumstances under which the president or certain agency heads may remove an inspector general or place an inspector general on non-duty status. But Senator Grassley, I looked him up, y'all. I had to look him up. Yeah. And I clicked, let me go to his bio. Y'all, this man was born in 1933. He is 88 years old. Senator Grassley was born in 1933. He has been in Congress since 1975. Y'all see that? I was 3 years old. This man has been in Congress since I was 3 years old. I'm damn near 50. He and that doggone Joe Biden. Joe Biden's been there longer. But I got stuck on Senator Grassley because I said, how long has he been there? Actually found a video. I want to play about 3 minutes of this, and probably we will close out after this, and I'll bring to you the rest of the bills tomorrow. But I wanted you to hear his argument on this bill. Senate Bill 587 is securing the Inspector General Independence Act of 2021. I told you there's certain things that we see in Congress. We see abortion bills, veterans, immigration, national security, gun legislation, and streamlining of processes. And this is one of these streamlining bills where they're just trying to really clean some stuff up. So I'm gonna play about 3 minutes of this because it was quite interesting. And if I got to listen to it, y'all got to listen to it too. Keeping Up with Congress is a collective effort. We're in this together. So this is Senator Grassley, y'all.
Which will be very short, deals with the subject of the Inspector General's Act of 1978. When we passed that act, we required a president who wants to remove an IG to provide Congress specific reasons why that IG was removed. When Congress revised the IG Act 30 years later, we amended that notification requirement and made it even stronger. We require presidents to tell us their reasons and do it in no less than 30 days in advance of the removal. Neither of these provisions did anything to prevent the president from performing his constitutional responsibility to hire and fire people within the executive branch of government. Unfortunately, presidents from both political parties, let me emphasize, from both political parties, seem to have a hard time following this simple notice requirement. When President Obama fired IG Walton of the Corporation of National and Community Service early in his term, he sent a vaguely worded letter saying only that he had, quote unquote, lost confidence in Mr. Walton. When President Trump fired IGs Lennick and Atkinson last year, he sent letters to Congress saying exactly the same thing. As I explained to both presidents when they sent those letters, merely telling Congress that you have lost confidence in an IG isn't enough explanation. The loss of confidence occurs only after something happens. When announcing their decision to remove an IG in office, presidents need to tell us what that something is. They need to explain why they've lost confidence. Failing to do so misses the point of the notice requirement entirely. The notice requirement isn't about a president's confidence in the IG, it's about the public's confidence in the Inspector General system across the board. IGs are put in office to serve as government watchdogs. If IGs are carrying out their duties as intended, they're likely going to make more enemies than friends. They may uncover things that make the sitting president and his political appointees very uncomfortable. So what? No president is going to like every investigation that an IG undertakes or every report that an IG prepares. But IGs should not be fired just for doing their jobs or to prevent them from releasing findings that may be embarrassing to some administration, Republican or Democrat.
There I go. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. I just wanted to bring to you that clip from Senator Grassley, 88 years old, y'all, still in Congress. I don't get it. I don't. I'm sure he got great grandbabies he could be enjoying and loving life and golfing and living his best life, but he's still in Congress. I don't know what that means and why, but maybe that gives him purpose because he's been there a long time, since 1975. But we got to move some of these folks out the way. We got to get in there and get what we need done. And am I going there to change the system? No. I'm going to do what we need done. And I'm going to go and live my best life afterwards. So I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. Go to the website, donate, be a part of this campaign, and I will see you tomorrow for Keeping Up with Congress. Thank you for tuning in for Keeping Up with Congress. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, your candidate for the United States Senate. I'm a progressive Democrat that believes that reparations will make America great. It is time that we bridge the divide in this country. Please go to the website. That's tamaraforgeorgia.com. www.tamara, Please join me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here for Keeping Up with